In Pit Lane, proudly brought to you by Online Invent, websites, digital marketing and custom software. And welcome to another edition of In Pit Lane. Well, as you can see, we're not coming to you from the RMITV studios in the heart of Grand Prix City, Melbourne. We are coming to you instead from the In Pit Lane corporate headquarters beyond the suburban curtain, overlooking the shores of beautiful Lake Geneva. And I must say, I looked out the window before and the lake is looking particularly lovely this time of year. Now, coming up on the program tonight, remember the Bathurst 12 Hour at the start of the year? Great race. The race returned to its international status again. We had all of the top stars from around the world. We even had Valentino Rossi. But the man who made all of the comment online afterwards was not from Italy, was not from Asia or Japan or America or anywhere else like that. He was from Tasmania. His name was Brad Sherriff, and his race in the combined sedans in his Nissan GTR just made headlines all over the world. Well, while he was up there, Doc caught up with Brad Sherriff, and we're going to show you a bit of that a little bit later on in the program, find out more about the man himself and his remarkable Nissan GTR sports sedans. But sports sedans? He actually got two of them. I was right in the first place. I should write this shit down. Anyway, let's find out what's been happening around the world and around Australia. This is the In Pit Lane Motorsport News. In a thinly veiled threat to Supercars Australia, Ford performance boss Mark Rushbrook has hinted that the company could pull out of local supercar racing if their cars were not competitive. Speaking to local media ahead of the company's campaign in the Fink Desert race, Rushbrook raised the age-old problem of manufacturer involvement in motorsport. "We need to have the opportunity to win because it's important to our brand," he said. "If we're not able to win, if we don't have the opportunity to win, it has the risk of tarnishing our brand." GM's Chevy Camaro has so far dominated this year's Supercars Championship, the first under the new Gen 3 rules, taking 11 wins to the Mustang's solitary victory by Cam Waters in the opening race of the season on the streets of Newcastle. Well, Chaz Mostert is the latest Australian driver confirmed for this year's Spa 24-hour race. Mostert will join Bathurst 12-hour winning team Sun Energy Racing in their AMG Mercedes after testing for them last month. Fellow supercar driver Anton De Pasquale will also be on the grid with the all-Aussie entry Grove Racing. Mostert, who has previously won the Daytona 24 Hours in a BMW, is expected to join regular team driver Martin Conrad and the experienced Nicky Katzberg for the race. Well, supercar teams are now heading north for the annual winter road trip to the warmer climes of Darwin and Townsville. And the field at Darwin will have a new car and new driver on the grid. 888 wildcard Zane Goddard will start the race in preparation for his long-distance drives with Craig Lowndes at Sandown and Bathurst. The team launched last weekend at a public event in Brisbane where Goddard and Lowndes spoke about the big year ahead.
3, 2, 1, let us see it!
888 Racing have revealed their wildcard entry for the 2023 endurance events at Sandown and Bathurst. Sponsored by longtime race sponsor Supercheap Auto, the car will see the experienced Craig Lowndes alongside a returning Zane Goddard. Goddard will race the car at next weekend's Darwin Supercar round, and he's looking forward to it.
It looks amazing, they've done a fantastic job, so I can't thank them enough. But yeah, I'm just keen to drive it now. It looks like a fun car to drive. Yeah, it's been fantastic. Supercheap's gone above and beyond, really putting on this event. It looks like everyone's been having a great time. Everyone's got a smile on their face, and yeah, it's great to see the turnout and see families come along, be a part of the launch. A bit of a part of history, I guess, I'd say. But it's been awesome. So yeah, huge thanks to Supercheap for putting it all on. Yeah, super exciting. I love going to Darwin. It's always a great event. The locals really love it, and Supercars put on a great event there. So yeah, I'm keen to get stuck in. The track is usually good to me, so yeah, fingers crossed it's the same this year. Yeah, 100%. Not just picking his brain stuff on track, but also off track. He's a fan favourite. He's a great guy, and the more I can learn from him, the better. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But my other teammates are also great to learn off. Brock and Shane, and you've got Jamie as well. So yeah, it's a pretty stacked house when it comes to talent. So yeah, learning as much of them as possible, and trying to be the most complete driver I can be.
It's really important for Zane to get back into a rhythm. For him, I'm going to be really excited to see how he goes in Darwin, because we obviously, when I say we, Zane and I have been talking to Shane, talking to Brock to find out what these cars actually like. Zane and I actually did a lot of the demo driving last year in the demo cars, but not in a race car. So again, doing demos is one thing. Having a proper race and the stress and the pressure that he's going to be undergoing to Darwin, I think it's going to be great. Getting him in preparation for not only the Sandown 500, but for the Bathurst 1000.
Supercars will continue to race in Western Australia until 2025 after the signing of a new deal with the Western Australian government. The Wanneroo track has been a part of the main touring car championships since the 1970s. The agreement puts into place another part of the puzzle for next year's calendar, leaving the opening race in Newcastle and a return to New Zealand as the two most pressing issues on Supercars' to-do list. The Taupo circuit is firming as the favourite to replace Pukekohe as the site for a return to New Zealand, but like most every other supercar event these days, it will all rely on gaining access to those wonderful taxpayer dollars. Well, Victorian Formula 4 driver Bailey Collins survived awful conditions at Phillip Island last weekend to take the overall honours in the latest round of the Victorian Formula 4 Championship. Collins won the main feature race to take the win from New South Wales drivers Zach Lobko and Edison Beswick. In Formula V, Reef McCarthy won both races to take the win after the final race was red flagged soon after the start. Holden's dominated improved production, with Damien Milano leading home Luke Rich-Kumbo and Matthew Logan for a Commodore 1-2-3. And local Formula Ford star Matthew Hillier dominated the Toyota 86 Scholarship Series, winning all three races. You're watching In Pit Lane. When we come back, we're going to take you up to Mount Panorama at the start of the year, where Doc caught up with the unlikely hero of the Bathurst 12-hour meeting, Tasmanian sports sedan driver Brad Sherriff. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Get the phone ringing for your business with website development and SEO services from Online Invent. Visit onlineinvent.com.au.
Now, we must say a huge thank you to our friends at Online Invent. Want to tell you a bit about Online Invent. Online Invent's a Melbourne-based company that specialises in website development, custom web-based software applications, SEO and online marketing. Online Invent have been in business since 2007 and have a team of experienced and skilled professionals who can help you with all your online marketing needs. Online Invent are proud supporters of In Pit Lane, and they've kept us on the air over the past few very difficult years, and for that we all say a heartfelt thank you. Roy, the man in charge at Online Invent, is a passionate supporter of grassroots community motorsport. The company's committed to supporting local small business and helping them succeed online. So if you're looking for a reliable and experienced company to help you with your online marketing and communications needs, then look no further than our friends at Online Invent. You can contact them at onlineinvent.com.au to learn more about their services and how they can help you grow your business. And we thank Online Invent for their support of In Pit Lane, RMITV and Channel 31. Welcome back to In Pit Lane. Well, earlier in the year at the Bathurst 12-hour, we saw all of the world's top drivers coming back to the mountain once again. We even saw legendary MotoGP star Valentino Rossi making his debut on the mountain. But at the end of the weekend, the viral sensation wasn't one of the 12-hour drivers or cars. It was, in fact, someone from the New South Wales Combined Sedans event. And that was Tasmanian driver Brad Sherriff in his extraordinary Nissan GTR. Now, whether it's got 1,000 horsepower, 1,200 horsepower, or 1,400 horsepower, it doesn't really matter because Motorsport Australia seemed to think at the end of the weekend that it was probably just a bit too powerful for Mount Panorama. Doc, who was up at the Bathurst 12 Hour, is something of a Nissan GTR aficionado himself, so it didn't take a lot of convincing to send him along to have a chat with Brad Sherriff to ask him all about the car and his weekend.
And look at the horsepower. What did you say, 1,150 horsepower? Matt Nolte, there it is. It goes. I mean, those Mark Mustangs have got probably 600. Look at the gap at turn 2 from that Nissan Skyline of Sherriff.
Come across an absolute weapon. Brett's put me on to something he's seen on TV yesterday and says, I want that car, go check it out, say hello to the guys, and I want a story on it. So, and he's right. Brad's all the way from Tasmania. Brad Sherriff, thanks for joining us on In Pit Lane.
No worries.
Thanks for bringing your weapon up here, the Red Rocket here. How's the weekend been so far?
Look, it's been a good weekend. We came up reasonably early, so it was fairly low stress. We probably had a reasonable run in qualifying, so we put it on pole, and the time limit for this event is at 2.09. So
You had to rein yourself back in.
so we managed to clip that by 1/10, so that put us onto pole, which was kind of good. We had a drama with a trigger issue yesterday with the car, and unfortunately that cost us. We ran first for the first 7 or 8 laps, and then unfortunately it ended up the car ended up stopping on Conrod, and I managed it for most of the race. The RPM limit was getting lower and lower as it was developing the issue, which I knew what the problem was, but unfortunately I just wanted to try to get it back here, or get it over the line first.
Nurse at home and not do any more damage.
Yeah. So the big downside to that was a reverse grid this morning, which was always going to be hard work from the back. There's a lot of really fast cars here and a lot of really good drivers, and to be honest with you, I've got a pretty fast car, but not a very good driver. So it was always going to be a bit of thread the needle. But that panned out okay. So we ended up second.
Yep. So you carried the field really well.
So I think we were 3 seconds from first. We needed another lap, and unfortunately it's time certain here.
You must be really wrapped with a first whack out of coming out of, as you said, from international waters.
Yeah, look, it's good. We came up with the Bathurst Challenge, and that was a really, really good eye opener. I only got 7 laps. We shared the sister car to mine.
You were telling me a story before. Yeah, you had to work on your aero.
Yeah, so basically we had something that was dreamt up by a bald guy in Invermain Launceston on the front of the cars. So we really had no downforce at all. In actual fact, when the car accelerates, the nose of the car comes up because the back of the car goes down. The rear wing was always reasonably effective, but as this place here has a lot of dips or drop-offs in the track. Mountain Straight was one of them. And to be honest with you, I think you would have done a Mark Webber if you had held it flat up Mountain Straight. We managed to pull 288 up there with the wheels a long way. I think the data logging showed they're off the ground for about 120 metres. It's impossible to know exactly how many millimetres, but the shock pots were totally out of travel and the wheels were slowing down for 100 metres. Like a young guy come across to me, he said, "Mister, your wheels are off the ground up the straight." And I said, "Oh, how far?" And he said, "Oh, it's about that much." And I said, to be honest, it feels a lot more.
How are you loving Mount Panorama so far, Brad?
This would be, I've not done a lot of racing, but this certainly would be here. This is our second trip, but this is a mind-blowing circuit. It's just one of those tracks that you go home thinking about for a very long time, which is not what happens at every track. It's just very special.
You got the bug, you'll be back?
Oh, look, I think we'll be back, yes. The National Sports Sedans have a round here at the Bathurst 1000. So we won't be running under a speed limit at that point. So I guess we'll be able to see what sort of time it will lay down. We're having to manage that time a little bit at the moment. We actually got pinned in the last race because we were under. So they've rubbed that time out. Yep. We got a 1 grid penalty. But look, I think considering the rules of the rules, I think it was. Sounds
reasonable for only one spot.
Seems very reasonable to me.
Exactly.
Yep.
Just some tasteful high-end mods. Sure. Don't have to go over everything as well, though, too. What are you very proud of?
The big thing with these cars is the straight line handling. So the engine is a big part of the package. They're a billet engine, billet block thing. They run a reasonably big precision, 76-75. It's run by a Motec M1. All the electronics are Motec. The cars make with the turbo tap, they make about 1,200 horsepower at the hubs. So that equates to somewhere around at a 10-12% loss to somewhere around just under 1,400 horsepower. we're running around 1,000 horsepower here at the moment. So we've got about, say, give or take 400 horsepower without the GST.
Yep.
So, you know, it's a reasonably, I know it might sound crazy, but it's a reasonably conservative tune-up.
Yeah. You want some long-lasting horses, some ponies underneath it for a while.
We normally get a season out of these engines without any drama at that power level. We've not ever had a problem with the engines come apart. We'll inspect them. These are the later generation wider bearing crankshafts, which anything over 1,000 before in a circuit application, the bearings, they weren't loving life. You know, they weren't flying apart, but you could tell over 1,000 you're on limited time.
Yep.
So to make 1,000 horsepower, these things are making about 850 newton meters.
That's a lot of heat in that time.
Yeah, and then obviously the heat management's another thing. You know, it's got a big, it's got one of the best intercoolers on the market, if not the best.
Yep.
Alex from Plysiman's amazing.
Yep.
You know, it's just a good fun package. And I've been a motor Mac for all my life. My dad was, and that's all I wanted to ever do.
Yep.
So you know, I'd come home from school and want to pull carburetors apart, much to his disgust, and what I couldn't pull apart, I'd break with a hammer.
The detail you gave me on the specs a minute ago, I knew you were on the hands tool guy.
Yeah, so I screw the engines together, I build the car, I tune the car, so it's probably a bit unique. I don't drive it very well. I may not tune it amazing, but the whole package comes together, and it all just works, you know.
So if something goes wrong, you whack yourself on the back of the head. If something goes right, you pat yourself on the back.
There's no one else that gets smacked when things go bad.
I'm sure you have help. There's anyone you want to give a shout out to as well, though, too. Obviously, the guys who support you up here.
Yeah, look, we're in conjunction because we're running 2 cars, and potentially we bought enough spares to rebuild 1 car fully, including a spare engine, which we never intended to use, but I've always had the motto: if we have it, we'll never need it. And the guys from Dartone Racing have come up to give us a hand this weekend with the sister car. I've brought a good bunch of guys with me who have wanted to come up and have a look at Bathurst. And look, it's been a really enjoyable scenario, other than parked on the side of Conrod Straight watching the cars whizzing by was probably not my most memorable part of the trip. But anyway,
you've got to take it all in from
you
the.
do.
It is.
Yeah.
You got to take the good with the bad as well, though, too, don't you, Brad?
Yeah, absolutely. Motor racing, certainly, I think the highs are so high and the lows are so low, but there's more lows than highs. So, and if it wasn't like that, maybe it wouldn't be a buzz, you know.
Yeah, and you wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't exactly.
Greg from Sydney Composites has come on board really, really late. When we ran here at the challenge in the sister car, we had a wobble about and found very quickly that the wheels weren't on the ground very long. And I spoke to Sammy and Greg's done a fantastic job with the aero modifications. That's made a huge difference to the stability. It's still pretty ragged.
It's exponential sometimes. It just doesn't fix one problem. It can fix 100%. A few, doesn't it?
Yeah. So we had a very short test at Symmons Plains with the car, which the car holds a lap record for sports sedans there. And it showed instant signs of the first lap. It was under the lap record on old tyres, on a siding lap effectively. So we knew, I knew straight away as soon as I'd driven it that we were onto something.
Brad Sherriff, thank you so much for joining us on In Pit Lane.
No problem.
Good luck with the car for the rest of the weekend. Well, to the rest of today anyway as well, though, too. Enjoy the 12-hour tomorrow from 6 till 6. And thanks for coming over and sharing all the time on In Pit Lane.
Thanks so much.
Good on you.
Welcome back to In Pit Lane. Well, it's the best attended one-day sporting crowd in the world. Yes, it's the greatest spectacle in all of auto racing, the annual Indianapolis 500. And once again, America's biggest race didn't disappoint with a thrilling fight to the checkered flag.
Drivers, start your engines.
Rinus VeeKay made an impressive start to the race, passing pole sitter Alex Palou to take the lead early on. Palou, however, wasn't going to give up without a fight, and he passed the Dutchman to resume his position at the front of the pack. It wouldn't be an Indy 500 without its share of incidents. Catherine Legg was an early casualty after she made contact with the wall in pit lane. And then a remarkable moment as veteran Tony Kanaan, in his final Indianapolis 500, took to the grass to go past Scott McLaughlin. The race saw its fair share of crashes. Stingray Rob, great name, had made contact with the wall leading to the first caution period. The lead battle on track became a fight in pit lane as a collision between VeeKay and Palou added to the drama. It gave their crews plenty to do to quickly assess the damage and get their cars back in the race. At the restart, Felix Rosenqvist made a daring move, overtaking Callum Ilott to claim the lead. Pato O'Ward has his eyes set on the lead as he made a bold move, passing Rosenqvist and taking the top spot. Rosenqvist, however, wasn't ready to give up without a fight. He quickly fought back and reclaimed the lead from O'Ward. More pit lane drama as Colton Herter and Romain Grosjean collided in pit lane. The drama didn't end there for the Frenchman as he lost control out of turn 2, sliding into the safer barrier before bouncing across the track and into the infield grass. Quick reflexes from a crew member saved Santino Ferrucci from a major penalty after stopping a runaway wheel at his pit stop. Ferrucci was running third but was soon passed by Joseph Newgarden for the position as the Team Penske driver started his push through the field. O'Ward was also looking good, passing Rosenqvist for second place before taking Marcus Ericsson for the lead. The scariest incident of the race happened after contact between Rosenqvist and Kyle Kirkwood. The contact flipped Kirkwood's car upside down as the rear wheel broke loose and flew into the spectator area at high speed. Remarkably, it fired into a gap between two packed grandstands before its high-speed trajectory was finally entered by a parked car, all without major injury to spectators, officials or drivers. At the restart, Joseph Newgarden took the lead from O'Ward and Marcus Ericsson, but the drama was far from over. O'Ward spun and was hit by Augustin Campino, who was without any steering after he'd made contact with Simon Pagenaud and Scott McLaughlin, bringing out the red flag. At the restart, Ericsson assumed the lead, but it was short-lived as there was yet another red flag soon after when Christian Lundgaard was knocked into the wall in an incident that also claimed Ed Carpenter, Marco Andretti and rookie Benjamin Pedersen. The restart would leave only one warm-up lap and then just one racing lap, with Ericsson leading Newgarden, Ferrucci and Alex Rossi. Ericsson sprinted away at the restart, but on the run down to turn 3, the number 2 Penske of Newgarden pulled past to take the lead and end Ericsson's dream of back-to-back Indy 500 victories. Newgarden held on to beat Ericsson by less than a second, with Ferrucci a fine third. The win was Newgarden's first in the Indy 500, but the 19th to team owner Roger Penske, and the 100th victory for Penske's team in all forms of racing. Oh, and by the way, he also owns the track. And the series. And a large slab of America. He may even own you. It was a huge weekend for motorsport in the USA, not only with the Indy 500, but with the Black Fizzy Drink 600 at Charlotte. That, for those of you not born in the last century, is over 965 kilometres, all with a single driver. And it's that feat of endurance that kicks off this week's In Pit Lane International Wrap.
Green flag, the Coca-Cola 600's underway.
In a rain-delayed race with 16 cautions, Ryan Blaney emerged as the victor in Monday night's Charlotte 600, one of the year's premier events. Blaney held off William Byron for just over half a second in the final restart after the two drivers had traded the lead multiple times throughout the race. The win was the first for Blaney in almost 2 years, and also marks a milestone for team owner Roger Penske, who secured victories in both the Indianapolis 500 and the Charlotte 600 on the same Memorial Day weekend. Martin Truex Jr. finished third, with Bubba Wallace in fourth place. Tyler Reddick completed the top 5. Frank Pereira triumphed in the opening race of the 2023 DTM Series at Oschersleben, driving his SSR Performance Lamborghini Huracan from pole to victory. The win was Lamborghini's first ever in the DTM. Tim Heinemann secured second place in his TalkSport WRT Porsche 911, while Williams reserve driver Jack Aitken, making his DTM debut with Emile Frey Racing, claimed the third spot on the podium. In the weekend's second race, Christian Engelhardt claimed his maiden DTM victory as Porsches dominated the race. Starting from 7th on the grid, Engelhardt strategically moved up to 2nd with a perfectly timed pit stop. Thomas Preening was leading the race, but received a penalty after a pit crew member left a wheel lying in pit lane allowing Engelhart to take the lead and secure the win. Tim Hyman finished second, putting him in the lead in the overall standings, while Preening took third. Porsche taking the top 4 places. Jan Erschlecher and John Felipe have won 2 lights to flag races at the TCR World Tour round at the famous Spa-Francorchamps circuit. In race 1, Erschlecher held off the challenge of Nestor Gialami to win by 1.63 seconds. Mark Wing-Ho was third, ahead of Kobe Pales and Santiago Urrutia. In race 2, Felipe won from Norbert Michelis and Tom Cornell. Erschlecher finished 5th to take the series lead. Australian driver Ben Bargwanna was taken out of race 1 in an incident with Hyundai driver Dusan Borkovic, but recovered to finish 12th in race 2. The next round of the TCR World Tour will be held at the Volugna circuit in Italy on June 9th to the 11th. Well, thank you for joining us in Pit Lane. We're right out of time next week on the program. We're going to catch you up with some motorcycle racing. We're heading up to Broadford on the weekend to catch up with the Victorian Road Racing Championships. We're also going to try and give you some idea of what's happening out at Calder Park. Always lots of rumours, always a topic of great interest. We'll try and give you a few facts next week on the program. But until next week, at the same time, 9 o'clock on Channel 31 or on demand from 9:30 on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel. Thanks for watching us. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.